Today, we are jumping headfirst into a theory that, honestly, reads less like a regular academic paper and more like a blueprint for an entirely new reality. It is super dense, it's packed with invented words, and yeah, at first glance, it seems almost impossible to get through. But you gotta stick with me, because we're gonna decode this thing together, piece by piece. So, right off the bat, you're hit with this. I mean, it's a wall of text. It's full of words that you've probably never, ever seen before. Rhizoma polycentric? Plazodies? It really doesn't feel like a title. It feels more like a coded message, a kind of philosophical puzzle. And that's exactly how we're going to treat it. This is not just some random jumble of words, it's the key to a whole new way of thinking. So let's take all that confusion and flip it into a really exciting idea. This entire theory is built on something pretty radical. The idea that by inventing a new language, you can actually engineer a new reality. It's suggesting that the words we use don't just describe the world, they actively create it. And that, right there, is the key that's going to unlock everything we're about to get into. To really get this grand vision, we first have to become, well, linguistic detectives. We need to crack the code of the theory's unique vocabulary. Every single one of these strange words is a clue, a foundational idea that the entire structure is built on. So let's start breaking them down. Okay, first up is transjective. Now this term goes right to the heart of the theory's worldview. Usually, we see the world as me, the subject, looking at that thing, the object. This theory just completely tosses that idea out the window. Instead, it proposes a transjective reality that's flat, which means there are no hierarchies. Everything, you, me, the trees, the rocks, exist on one single interconnected plane. And that idea flows directly into our next term, rhizoma polycentric. So if reality is flat and interconnected, how is it organized? Well, it's not with a central government or some single leader at the top. Instead, picture the root system of grass, a rhizome. It has tons of centers, all connected, all just as important as the next. It's a model for some seriously radical decentralization. And that brings us to the actual environment of this new reality, which the theory calls flat geonaturalism. This takes that whole flat idea and applies it to the physical world around us. So in this view, a house isn't some separate thing plopped down on the landscape. Architecture and nature aren't fighting each other, they just blend together into one seamless, non-hierarchical existence. Okay, so we've got the vocabulary down, a flat, decentralized world where nature and buildings kind of merge, but what would it actually be like to live there? Well, lucky for us, the theory gives us a really concrete example to grab onto. And that example is the Kennemagorian Mansion. Now, this isn't just a building. It's meant to be the physical embodiment of the entire theory. It's the place where all these abstract ideas are supposed to be lived out every single day. You could say it's the central case study of this whole thing. So what is this place really? Well, according to the source, it's decentralized and rhizomat polycentric. Hey, we know what those words mean now. It's also off-grid, way out in a remote area. But check out these last few points. It's a place for post-coloniality neoculturation, which means creating totally new cultures free from colonial baggage. Education is radical unschooling, and the whole society is guided by ancestral wisdom cosmology. It's a complete vision for a new way to live. So now we kind of know the what and the where, but why? Why go to all this trouble? What's the philosophical engine that's driving this whole radical world-building project? The answer, it turns out, is in the nature of the words themselves. And this is a really crucial point. These words aren't just descriptions, they are tools. The theory actually calls the process of making them etymological hybridization. It's the deliberate act of mashing up old words to forge new ones, to create new concepts. The goal isn't just to talk about a new world, but to use these new words to actively engineer it into existence. And the driving force behind this whole engineering project is an ideology called joyful Afro-optimistic oriented accelerationism. Now that's a mouthful, right? But let's break it down. Afro-optimist points to a positive, future-looking perspective rooted in the African diaspora. Accelerationism is this idea of speeding up societal change. So what you have is a philosophy about actively and joyfully creating a new, positive future and doing it fast. And this brings us right to the heart of it all. This isn't just some passive theory you read in a book. It's presented as an active, creative manual for how to consciously design and build a new culture, literally from the ground up. And here we go again with another incredibly dense, almost poetic phrase from the source. Ontological engineering, reflective panopticon benevolence, eschatological maintenance. It almost sounds like a kind of spiritual incantation, doesn't it? A formula for constructing a whole new state of being. So let's just pull out the most important concept from that wild quote, ontological engineering. We're not talking about civil engineering or software engineering here. We're talking about the engineering of existence itself. So, here's the definition. Ontological engineering is the ultimate goal. It's the practice of using all the tools we've just talked about, the new words, the decentralized living, the joyful philosophy, to literally construct a new reality, new beliefs, and totally new ways for humans to be. So, we've gathered all the pieces of the puzzle, the language, the place, the philosophy, and the method. Now, it's time to put them all together and see the final picture, the ultimate aim of this entire massive project. And the name for that final goal is prometa-utopia. See, it's not just a utopia, a perfect place. It's a prometa-utopia, a new kind of utopia. One that isn't just discovered, but is actively built, engineered, on the foundations of what the theory calls post-colonial neoculturation. It's the grand finale, the culmination of everything we've unpacked. And so we end up right back where we started, with a really powerful question. This theory is making a bold claim that the limits of our language are the limits of our world. And if we want to build a better one, we first have to dare to speak it into existence. It's a fascinating idea and definitely one worth thinking about.